Speaking of games, Star Killer is still something they could use because they put one of the old armors in I think in the first season of Andor. I haven't watched it, but people pointed out the Sith Stalker armor is like in the background of one of the rooms. So they
Yeah, you
did,
could.
but like he gave you the combat you kind of wanted from a Star Wars or
I
the
mean,
modern day Star Wars show with a modern CGI prop. Like this man was trying to turn Luke and like sucker punched him in the stomach, took his arm, threw him into the flight path of a plane just so it would bounce back and he could punch him again.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you could have had Star Killer. You could have actually had Star Killer in the Star Wars universe. You could have the Knights of Kylo Ren in the Star Wars universe. There's so many ways they could have done this, and it's just like, how is it that you have an almost unlimited budget on characters that from the books you could introduce into the modern cinematic universe, and you don't? I will never understand that, because especially Star Killer going after Vader. That alone is a movie in itself.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, but
I
again, I
mean,
digress.
speaking of telling your own story, was making sure you know what you're talking about. Andor season 2. We got the trailer. We're gonna check it out.
All right.
And here we go.
We're in a war. You want to fight? Or you want to win? Last night I had a dream that the world had turned around. All our hopes had come to be. The revolution starts now.
What a swell party this is.
Remember this moment. You're here, you're right here, and you're ready to fight.
Nice.
That's a perfect example of knowing your background of just Star Wars lore and running with it. Because even when the first season came out, I'm like, well, why are they giving us Endor? And we know what's gonna happen. Oh, wait a minute. It's a slow burn,
But it's a faster pace.
yes.
Was that Forrest back as Saul Guerrero?
Yes.
Yep.
It's Saul Guerrero.
This is the obviously this is going to lead into Rogue One, because this is going to be a final season. Can't just keep going. Like you gotta end it. So you see Ben Mendelsohn and his character, and you see the Death Star in there, and it even answered one of the questions I had about K2SO showing up, and I'm like, oh, there he is. Okay, never mind.
Yep. So this is basically the season. I won't call it the beginning of the end, but it's the part where it shapes up before pre-episode 1.
Yeah. But see, and this is, I think, where the franchises shine right now. A lot of prequels look good. Like Andor looks good. Rogue One looks good, despite what some people think. Obi-Wan wasn't even bad.
Obi-Wan was nice. I liked Obi-Wan.
Yeah, it was perfect to me.
Yeah.
Especially the fight between him and Anakin. That was, if that wasn't cinema, I don't know what is.
Not only that, the fact that they said, "Oh, we get to train again."
Right. It looked like they ain't missed a step.
They got to train again. Got back to hear Ewan McGregor say, Christian does this move. That's his move. That's his move. He's like, I can't. He's like, he came up with that move and he just rolled with it. And I'm like, yes. So that's a prime example.
Yeah, that you can do a prequel and it can hit if you give it the time. And with Star Wars, there's plenty of story there. There's plenty of story. You just have to right, sir. You gotta take your time with it.
If it's like for a known property, they have an endpoint. It's just that you're allowed to have more fun getting there. Just make sure it can fit within the canon, even though we've had to redo it like 15 different times.
Right.
If you take the lore of the old 3 series, they have that fall.
Yeah. Like, please give us our Mace Windu story. Please. Sam Jackson wants the damn Mace Windu story. Right. I was like, he wants it. Like, just give us the story. We know he doesn't live long. Just give us the story.
But we know he's still alive, though.
Yeah.
Never saw a body.
I don't know. Like when you have series like The Mandalorian, Boba Fett could have been better. I think they Boba Fett started off strong and then fell apart. Like they couldn't keep up the pace with Boba Fett, and that's when they brought the Mandalorian in, and it became Mandalorian 2.5, season 2.5. So.
Good way to bring Mando in, because we ended season 2 with certain people who are not going to be in that show anymore on screen and on a cliffhanger. So it gave us a nice way to segue out of that without addressing the elephant in the room and all.
Yeah, because it definitely started getting. I'm not going to lie, the Boba Fett series did start getting boring. I'm like, wait, what are y'all going to do with this?
I didn't think we were going to spend so much time on Tatooine. I thought we'd be like, going out elsewhere or going across the galaxy to recover his armor. Instead, it was just scattered like the Dragon Balls on the same planet. And then I guess that apparently it's all going to tie together in what is it? The Mandalorian and Grogu is the name of the movie.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a feature film. That's actually going to be a film. They're going to wrap it up, and then that might be it for that.
So is Esposito's character still out there?
He's still out there. He's still out there. He's not dead or anything. He's still out there. And by the way, Esposito is getting into all the fandoms. He said, "I want it all."
I'm curious between him and who else can make an appearance for this season, because I saw Forrest, I saw the robot. I still need to finish watching the first season, but I can tell they may tie in a bunch of other stories. I know Mando tied in like the main story from Battlefront 2, like the remake a couple years ago.
Yeah, I thought so too. And here we are. This is a prime example of how you tell a prequel story without bogging it down. You don't, and fans who've come up, like Gen Xers who've come up, like myself, who've come up with the series, it's like, we'll say it. We love the Skywalker clan, but there are other stories. Tell us those other stories, please. We don't care if you create new characters. We don't care if you use existing characters that you don't hear much about. This is why Rebels and Bad Batch were so well.
Yeah, they were different. They were different ways of telling stories. Very, very different.
Like, when you tell your own story, just know the basics of what you're talking about. Just don't pull stuff out of the air and piece things together, and you don't know the basics.
Right.
It's all about pacing. It's all about telling the right story. You can do that. Rogue One, I never thought I would see a prequel to Rogue One. I never thought I would see Andor and say, I don't need this, and turn out and be like, actually, this ain't bad.
Yeah. Just to see just to see the entire, not just a planet, but an entire colony. Thank you. Just to see the entire colony system rise up. That's something to watch. That's what I was like.
Skeleton Crew. Skeleton Crew.
Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah. Skeleton Crew. Yeah.
is a great example.
Yep.
Kept us guessing.
I'm not gonna lie, and I said before, I said it again. If it wasn't for those series, I would have never went back and watched the Clone Wars. I would have never went back and watched the Clone Wars and been like, holy crap, I missed a lot between the Clone Wars and Rebels. I missed a lot. But it did make me want to go back and go watch them again just to fill in the missing blanks. So if anything, good stories will always have you go back to see previous material and be like, oh. But then again, like we said, where do they pull it from? Known sources, as long as it's done with a good story. So it makes sense.
I think telling stories like the Clone Wars and Bad Batch, and just telling you stuff, the chapters that's in between, like the quote unquote side quests. I think those work great because while the main characters that you know are off doing whatever, what happened over here, or what happened over here, or what happened during this. When this battle happened over here, what was going on this other planet? If this happened, you know what I mean? That those types of stories work so well, and we don't get a lot of that. We don't get a lot of that. Exactly. You like, it's more to the Skywalker clan and Jedi's and Sith. Yes, universe.
That part.
That's why I was raving so much about Skeleton Crew. I'm like, you're talking about kids dealing with pirates because they're out there, and it can be a one and done season. I don't care, but it works. What's happening to All Nerd Entertainment?
Especially what they've done so far, because the whole time with Jude Law's character, you're sitting there wondering, okay, what is he? I mean, he seems to be force sensitive, but he's not a Jedi. Of course, he doesn't say that he is, but yet he's handy with a lightsaber. I think there's more to that. That's the crazy part about all of it is there's more to it than what they're wanting to hold on. I mean, to what they're wanting to say, but that just means it's a good story. You're going back to watch what is actually going on. At the same time, again, it's a different part of the Star Wars universe that you can explore, that you can bring in other characters. You can make it entertaining. That's the big three. Entertain, as long as you have a good story, good act, the actors have to be on point, but let's be honest, when have you ever seen a bad acting role in Star Wars? I mean, anybody. I can't name a bad acting role.
Yeah, there hasn't been any bad acting except for that one stormtrooper who hits his head on the door, and that's in the originals. And there's so much going on in that scene, you don't even miss it.
Right.
You don't even see it. It's not till somebody points out. You're just like, oh, he did hit his head on the hatch, on the door hatch. So,
I still laugh about the Force Awakens when the two stormtroopers come around the corner and Kylo Ren's wrecking stuff, and that's the one time you see two stormtroopers have a black moment. Like, nah, bro.
That was those films didn't take themselves too seriously. It's just we felt like we ran out of stuff for other people to do, or didn't want them to be the focus of the film. That's
pretty much.
How far removed are we from Rogue One with like the end of season 1 of Andor?
Season 2 is season 1 is kind of the origin, because Cassian he's not even, when it starts out, he's not even considered a rebel. He's not even really. He kind of grows into that role. He kind of grows into that role, and then by the season 2, he's like, all right, I know where I need to be. I know what I need to do.
Yeah, because I think two is a bit of a time skip, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or is it? Or am I thinking 3?
It's a bit of a time skip, but it's enough of a time. If it is a time skip, it's enough of it that you don't miss much, because it's been 2-3 years.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
But still, the whole thing about him, yeah. Again, that's the part I love. At first, he started out, he wasn't sure of himself, but now, you want to talk a whole different person. That's why, I mean, that part. Well, that part, and then again, everything else that happened. Again, I want to spoil for everybody that hasn't seen the first season. You still got time, because I don't think season 2 has came out quite yet. So you still got time. And I think first season, what, 8 episodes? 8 or 6?
No, I think first season. I want to say it's 10. It might be
Okay.
10.
So you still got time if you haven't seen
Yeah.
the season.
Yeah, because
just
it's not till April 22nd. It's not all practically the end of April, so you still got time.
I'll check it out.
Oh, I would say just to get caught up on it, because I mean, between that and let's see, oh wow, everything else coming out in April. April and May and April finna be some 2 busy ass months.
Good
Outside of
Lord.
March. March is basically. I tell everybody, look, March is basically Daredevil. March is basically Daredevil at this point. If I was planning anything in March, I would push that back by at least several weeks.
They just like, what's going on in March? Daredevil.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Daredevil.
That's it.
Nothing else matters.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I forgot about Last of Us, but Last of Us is placed. Yeah, thank you, Lane. Last of Us is placed your bets.
I keep
Place
forgetting. They gotta get better with the role. I keep forgetting Last of Us. I've seen promo images. I keep forgetting Last of Us is coming.
And that was like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, about almost a month ago when they actually did do a trailer for it. Supposedly there's supposed to be another one coming, but I'm not 100% sure about that. Although I'm like, look, when is Joel going to bite the bullet? Literally, because either you're going to do it at the beginning of the season or you're going to do it at the end. But I'm going to be honest, if you do it at the end, you're going to take off a lot of people.
And they said they're going to split it, I think, into 3 seasons. So I can already tell. I see Joel making it to like the first 2 episodes. We're probably going to open up on the ending of the first game. Season 2 is Ellie's story. Season 3, Abby's story. Season 4 is Santa Barbara or Santa Monica, wherever that unnecessary ass fight happened.
Although to be honest, Abby's story is like way short. If you really think about it, her story runs along old girls, so it's kind of parallel.
It is,
except for that one moment.
It is. We know what's happening this time versus when the game came out.
Oh, that game took a lot. That game, those first 30 minutes ticked a lot of people off. 30 minutes of the game.
Man.
The game was played beautifully. It's just there was a whole lot of stuff. Was like you could have just told us this up front. We might have been upset about it, but the fact that
I will give Naughty Dog. I will give Naughty Dog credit for that. That's a way that had to be the biggest secret to keep under wraps. That look. Above all else, no one can know the first 30 minutes of what happens in this game.
Look, I just found out in Daredevil, like first episode, something happens and you're not gonna like it. And I'm like, well, that's a great lead in. Thank you very much. And we were already tuned in anyway.
It's like Walking Dead, except a different show. It's like, okay, nobody's safe. Nobody's safe on this roster.
What in the world?
Andor leading the Road One, where we know nobody makes it, but we still like it. Y'all could have just. It was the fact that somebody on the staff leaked it because you're gonna piss people off if you keep putting this man in the trailers like Chris Brown and you got served and.
Damn.
And then tell them there's a whole second character they're playing at, or third character they get to play as. Maybe be a little straight up, and the internal disputes became external, like every other property we were a fan of. This, on the other hand, we know everyone dies. We're just here. We're just curious to see how we get there.
Right.
I can't say anything. I haven't been this mad since I realized one of my favorite video games wasn't getting a sequel, and then 5 years later it gets a remaster. So that goes along to tell you. I'm just saying. I'm still mad at you. Days Gone. We should have a sequel to that game.
Jesus.
Motorcycle zombies.
We are going to go take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the evolution of Black superheroes from the shadows to the mainstream. There's a lot. For some people who don't know and can't name past certain ones, trust me, we got you covered. We'll be right back.